are now listening to the IELTS podcast. Learn from tutors and ex-examiners who are masters of IELTS preparation. Your host, Ben Worthington.
Getting ideas for popular, common IELTS topics. Today we're going to look at the topic of genetic engineering. Why genetic engineering? Well, I've seen it on papers before, I've seen it on questions, and it's one of those topics that you probably have very little information about because it's not so widespread. And in this tutorial, we're going to look at ideas related to this topic. We're going to look at a grammar point, specifically academic hedging. I'm going to give you the pros and the cons. I'm going to give you model sentences using academic hedging, and we'll also just have a look at some model essays and some speaking questions and possible model answers. Now, I don't expect you to, memorize everything here, but we're going to look at this topic from an IELTS point of view. So that's why we're going to cover the grammar topic, the grammar points, hedging, and we're going to look as well at topic-specific vocabulary, the collocations and phrases related to this topic. Now, this is a very practical tutorial. I suggest you grab a pen because this will help you remember what we are covering and just help you, recall the information, use the information, and we're also going to just look at a question as well. Before we get started, let me tell you who I am. My name is Ben Worthington. I'm from England. I'm from the north. Some people say it's the civilized part of England. However, you might be thinking, this guy doesn't sound like a northerner, and you'd be right to a certain extent because you can understand me. That's probably why you're thinking this guy doesn't sound like a northerner. But why can you understand me? Because I'm enunciating after teaching English now for well over 20 years. No, almost 20 years, I'm sorry. I've learnt to speak in a way that's very clear for the listeners. And this is actually, I share this technique in the Speaking Confidence course. However, I started with teaching English, as I said, about, 18, 19 years ago. Oh my word, how old does that make me feel? Anyway, and I quickly specialized in the IELTS exam preparation area because I like getting results for students. I had a terrible class experience with a student. We were working through a task 2 essay and we were working through it together, and I just kept on repeating myself and going around in circles, and it was a nightmare. And it was that night, it was that day, later that evening, I decided, got to get a grip of this, got to get a hold of this. It's just, there's too much riding on it. So that's why I decided to specialize in the IELTS exam. And then, fast forward a good 12, 15, 16 years later, we've got the Aisa Checker. We get incredible results with that. It's probably the fastest way you can pass the exam at the moment. You get that instant feedback. It's free. It's a tool from me to you. And then to get the more detailed feedback, you just need to sign up. That's all. And it's ridiculous. It's like from $6.50 a month if you choose the extended 6-month access. For $6 a month, more or less, you can submit as many essays as you want and get very detailed practical feedback. And we'll soon be developing a course all around this to how to use the actual tool to improve even faster. So let's have a look. Back to today's topic, genetic engineering. Right, so some keywords here. It's a revolutionary field. That's kind of a generic term. You could apply that to AI, to mobile phones, to social media. It's a revolutionary field that has the potential to drastically alter our world. Again, a very universal statement. And as I said, we're going to cover academic hedging. What does this mean? Well, it just means we're going to avoid making generalizations. So if I said genetic engineering is a dangerous field, somebody could say no, because there's been no dangers about that. So we just usually say, we use hedging phrases or words such as may, might, could, possibly, tends to, appear, rather than making definitive statements. It's relatively straightforward. So if I said genetic engineering is an incredibly dangerous area, that's not hedged. But if I said could be a potentially dramatically dangerous area, could be a potentially dangerous area, then I've covered myself, because someone will say, actually, it's not dangerous. And I said, well, that's why I said might be a dangerous area, could be a dangerous area. Let's have a look at the pros and the cons of genetic engineering, so you can get some ideas, you can get some viewpoints if you're asked about this in the essay. So 1, it could, notice these are all hedged. By the end of the list, you will get a clearer idea of academic hedging. So it could potentially eliminate genetic disorders. It may increase the lifespan of individuals. It could enhance capabilities such as intelligence or physical strength. It may lead to advancements in medicine and treatment. It could possibly increase agricultural yield and food security. It could allow for the design of offspring. Wow. I've got a 1.5-year-old young boy. I don't know if I would have liked to have designed him, to be all, in all honesty. If I could have designed something, maybe I would have designed that he sleeps through the night without yelling, and that we skip the screaming phrase that he's currently in, because that is hurting my ears so much. Anyway, it could also potentially lead to the eradication of certain pests or diseases. Okay, so we've got a lot of pros there. What are the cons with genetic engineering? Let's start. Could lead to unforeseen or negative consequences. That's another beautiful little phrase that we could practically put in any essay. It may lead to unforeseen and negative consequences in the ecosystem, in the food security, in the energy security, in the town planning process. May lead to unforeseen negative consequences. Note that phrase down for sure. It may lead to a loss of genetic diversity, may result in ethical and moral dilemmas. Should I engineer my kid to be silent? My next future children to be silent? That's horrible. That's horrible. Moving on. It may result in the loss of individuality and diversity. Could lead to a slippery slope towards more controversial uses. Wow. My imagination is exploding on that one, you know? Just think if we could engineer the perfect footballer. He's got the long-range ability of David Beckham, the dribbling ability of Giggs. He's got the no-nonsense approach of Scholes. He's got the aggression of Keane. Just examples anyway. Topic-specific vocabulary and collocations and phrases. Genetic modification, diversity, disorder, genome sequencing, gene therapy, gene splicing, genetic screening. Wow. When you go to our site, you'll be able to find, or you could just do a Google search, put IELTS podcast, genetic engineering topic ideas and vocabulary, and you'll be able to get the whole list. And soon, when you sign up, you'll be able to get all of this topic idea workbook we're working on. You'll be getting that as a PDF as well. Moving on. Model sentences using genetic engineering phrases and academic hedging. So it could be argued, very useful phrase there, it could be argued that genetic modification may lead to unforeseen consequences. As we noted before, that sentence could be used in a lot of different ways. We could say, could be argued that nuclear power may lead to unforeseen consequences. It could be argued that climate change may lead to unforeseen consequences. Next sentence, genetic diversity might be compromised with the widespread use of genetic engineering. Wow, if you put that sentence in and you write it grammatically perfect, you are on to a winner. There is a possibility that genetic disorders could be eradicated through gene therapy. It could be possible that recombinant DNA technology will lead to significant advancements in medicine. Now, for those who aren't in medicine like myself, you may be struggling with the idea of recombinant DNA technology. What in the world is that? Good question. I'm only guessing, but I guess it's where they combine it. But in all honesty, I've got no idea. So this is why when you go to this tutorial and you find it on our site, or you sign up and you eventually get the topic idea PDF, you'll be able to just click on the extra resources section that we are putting at the end of each tutorial. Right then, so let's have a look. What are the advantages and disadvantages of genetic engineering? So we've got our introduction. Genetic engineering, a field that has seen rapid advancements in recent years, is often viewed as a double-edged sword. Lovely little phrase there, double-edged sword. Note that phrase down because you can use it for essays of advantage, disadvantage, probably discuss to what extent as well. So extremely useful. While, we've got a conjunction in there, good. While it holds the promise of significant benefits, it also raises a host of ethical and moral dilemmas. Beautiful, beautiful. On the one hand, genetic engineering could potentially lead to the eradication of genetic disorders and increase the lifespan of individuals. By manipulating the genetic code, scientists may be able to eliminate the genes responsible for certain diseases, leading to healthier, longer lives. Furthermore, genetic engineering might enhance human capabilities such as intelligence or physical strength, leading to a new era of human evolution. Wow, it's pretty good. So that's body paragraph 1. Body paragraph 2, let's have a look on the other hand, at the other side. The use of genetic engineering could lead to unforeseen negative consequences. There's that phrase I mentioned earlier. For instance, the creation of genetically modified organisms, brackets GMOs, may disrupt ecosystems and lead to a loss of genetic diversity. Moreover, the ability to design offspring could lead to a host, we've already used that phrase, of ethical issues, including the potential for increased inequality and the devaluation of human life. Wow. Now, in this model essay, we don't have an example, but I think it would be suitable here because that kind of leaves it a little bit open-ended. In conclusion, while genetic engineering holds great promise, it is crucial that we approach this technology with caution. It's essential that we carefully consider the ethical implications, potential consequences before embracing this technology fully. Wonderful. There we go. We could definitely modify that sentence again and use it in another essay. It is essential we carefully consider the technological implications, the societal implications, the biological, the technological, the chemical implications, whatever the topic is, global implications and potential consequences before embracing this technology fully. Wonderful. Speaking part 3, questions and model answers. Why is genetic engineering considered a controversial topic? So here, we are invited. We cannot give really a talk about personal experience, but we're just invited to share our opinion. So, well, genetic engineering is often seen as a controversial issue because it involves manipulating the very building blocks of life, our genes. Some people believe that this is playing God, which they see as morally wrong. Additionally, there is a fear that it could lead to unforeseen consequences. Another great little phrase there, such as the creation of harmful organisms or diseases. It's a bit like opening Pandora's box. Once it's open, it can't be closed again. Now here, we've got a nice little phrase, Pandora's box. However, we've got to use these idiomatic phrases quite sparingly and only when it's very appropriate. We've got to use them in an accurate manner. Pandora's box, what's that? Well, I don't know if you've got it in your culture. I think it comes from the Greek culture. But Pandora had a box. She opened it. She was told not to open it, if I remember correctly, because a whole host of problems and I think it was like evil spirits could be escaped. And now it's used, could escape. And now it's used as a euphemism, as an expression, just to say don't open that cupboard, it's a Pandora's box of garbage, or don't ask David about his bad back, it's a Pandora's box of problems and complaints, or don't open that file, or don't go to that topic, it's a Pandora's box. So, it's a topic, it's an area, it's something that once we open we can't close again, and it's probably got dangerous implications. Next question. How has genetic engineering changed over the past decade? Now, this question is inviting you to contrast between the present and the past decade. This is a very common IELTS speaking style question, and it can be quite difficult to answer, especially if you get a topic such as genetic engineering. So let's jump in. Over the past decade, genetic engineering has advanced significantly. We've seen the development of new techniques such as CRISPR, which have made genetic engineering more precise and accessible. It's a bit like going from a blunt instrument to a scalpel. The level of precision and control we now have is unprecedented. Now, these are high-level answers you would expect from somebody in the field. So don't worry if you cannot reach this level. And in my honest opinion, I do believe they are kind of like overly formal. They're a bit too advanced. So we're going to work on that and just making them a little bit more closer to spoken English. However, they are a good sort of like target to reach. Now, final question before we wrap this up. Is genetic engineering common in your country? Again, a very sort of like frequent, common style of speaking part 3 question, bringing it back to your own country, not necessarily your own experiences, So if you're a country from, maybe Bulgaria, which probably genetic engineering might not be in the news, it's more likely, I'm guessing, to be in the news in other countries. So this could be a difficult one. So here's a model answer. In my country, genetic engineering is not very common in everyday life, but it's a significant area of research in the scientific community. That's a useful phrase as well. In the scientific community. It's a very useful phrase, and it's better than just saying like in science, in the scientific community. We have several universities and research institutions that are conducting groundbreaking research in this field. It's a bit like being on the cutting edge. There's a lot of excitement and potential, but also a lot of uncertainty and risk. So there we go. Now, in the speaking confidence course, we do go into a lot more of the techniques, especially the one I mentioned at the beginning, enunciation, and also you have a technique on how to speak clearly and respond quicker. However, in this tutorial, we just focused on a few techniques. I just wanted to show you a few question types. We've looked at the topic-specific vocabulary. We looked at academic hedging. So hopefully, if you are taking notes, you'll be able to use this in the next essay you write. I also made an effort just to try and highlight more universal or less specific phrases that could help you get further with your essay writing, building your vocabulary, and also building your box of ideas, your bank of ideas. Now, if you want to pass the IELTS exam faster, you need to be aware that nowadays the successful students are using tools rather than information. An example of a tool could be a framework, it could be an AI essay checker, and these tools help you advance faster, because not only are you going to get faster feedback, I think it takes about 20-30 seconds, but you'll be able to pinpoint the errors, work on those errors, and then submit again, literally like 5-10 minutes later, and just keep tinkering and improving. Also, you need this because if you have your exam coming up soon, or you have a wave of motivation, you can just channel all that motivation. Or you've got 3 days left to prepare, you just channel those 3 days and you just submit essay after essay. In fact, you don't even have to start writing new essays. You can just submit your old essays, figure out what was wrong with those, and start working on them instead. So you don't even have to write essays to improve, which is, again, one of the reasons why a lot of smart students are using these tools like this rather than information. So my name is Ben Worthington. If you want more information about this AI essay checking tool and our courses, then go to IELTSPodcast.com, sign up, and you'll be sent some information on how to use the AI essay checker. And probably sometime in June, we will start sending the PDF of the ebook of topic ideas, which comes jam-packed with model essays, model speaking answers, and collocations and phrases and everything you need to build your idea database, which is handy for the exam. And as I said, if you sign up now and you're expecting the book, you might be disappointed. I said sometime in June, but when we release it, we're going to just mail it to everybody anyway, just as a gift from me to you. That's it for today. Have a super day. Keep moving forward. You will get there. IELTS isn't easy, but it's worth it. You're going to change the course of history of your family, of your next generation. You get to the UK, you get to Canada, you get to the USA, you get to Australia. How big of an impact is that going to have? And we can get you there faster. Go to IELTSPodcast.com, sign up, have a super day, move fast, and you will pass. All the best.
Thanks for listening to IELTSPodcast.com.